Hello and welcome to Weird Careers. I'm your host, E.T. All over the world, people have jobs. And some of those jobs we don't even know exist. There are jobs that we don't know a lot about, and there are jobs that we just don't talk about. Well, I'm here to explore all of the above on this podcast. Join me as I explore careers from all over the globe. Everything from specialized retail to sex work. Oh yeah, did I mention that we're 18 plus? Throughout the course of this podcast, we will take a deep dive into each of these interesting professions. Do you know someone who has a weird or interesting job? Maybe you do. Believe it or not, your job may actually be more interesting to others than you may think. So don't be shy and shoot us an email at weirdcareerspodcast@gmail.com. This podcast is brought to you by Cardinal Images. Do you dream of having your small business look as great as the big guys without paying a fortune? You're not alone. Here at Cardinal Images, that is our specialty. So, shoot us an email at eric@cardinalimages.ca today for your personalized quote, or visit our website at www.cardinalimages.ca for more information. Cardinal Images, affordable pricing, quality images, and personable photography. On today's show, we've got Tania DaSilva, who is a promotions and digital coordinator for Chorus Entertainment. Tania, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Eric. Glad to be here.
We're glad to have you here. Now, without spoiling the rest of the show, what do you do in a nutshell?
Well, when people ask me this question, I typically like to say that I give free things away for a living and make people happy. So, in technical terms, like you mentioned, I'm a radio promotions and digital coordinator.
Cool. That's pretty neat. Now,
Yeah.
pardon me. Now, you went to school for radio production to produce your own show originally. Now, tell us about that experience and how that kind of led to you getting into the promotions department.
So it's a funny story. I actually started working for Chorus just as I got out of radio broadcasting school and got my
Nice.
diploma. Yeah. So I've been working for the company a while, and I think I mentioned, but our promotions director at the time that I kind of just mentioned to him that I was interested in doing my own show.
Mhm.
And then I started working overnights because everyone does overnights.
Lordy.
And then into weekends. And then from there, on a couple of our stations, I started kind of producing my own show.
Nice.
Eventually, I heard about this summer cruiser position, which allows you to go to events and meet new people all summer long. It was like my dream job.
Nice.
And from there, it led me into promotions, and I just decided it was a career path for me. And now I'm working up to being essentially a senior promotions coordinator. So it's great.
You don't have to have the silver hair to be a senior, do you?
Honestly, I noticed one the other day. I think they're stress hairs, though. I think I'm gonna start naming them after my coworkers.
Yeah, that's why I shave my head. I don't even have to worry about it anymore. I just shave it all off. There's no color. It's great.
Yeah, you're a genius. I should.
I mean, if you really wanted to, no one's stopping you.
I could probably rock it. Yeah, I might get
You know
some
what?
looks, but I
Yeah.
could rock it. Yeah.
You could. I'm
Yeah.
picturing it now. You could totally rock it. Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. And it would be so much cooler in the summertime. Holy crap.
A little cold in the winter, but I think I could do it.
Yeah, that's what toques are for.
Yeah.
So before you got
Amazing.
before you got into radio production, you went to school for pre-health sciences.
Yep.
What made you change your mind?
I keep saying it's a funny story, but it actually is a funny story.
I like funny stories. So do our listeners. So perfect.
It's also a strange switch. I'll actually never forget the first day of orientation, and I told them essentially that I had switched, and everyone just kept staring at me like, why is this girl who is in health science wanting to come over to media? But I mean, it's weirdly enough, I happened to be roaming the halls at Fanshawe
Hmm.
because that's where I had taken pre-health science. And I don't know, I was so interested in seeing them in the booth and being so animated. And I told myself that's something I can see myself doing. And that's something that would be super fun. And my friends actually were the reasons and they enticed me to apply. So I
Nice.
applied having, no experience and not knowing anything. And I happened to get in. So there I am.
So Fanshawe has a studio that you can just walk past and look into?
Yeah. So it's called CFRL and it's the radio station that broadcasts in the hallways. I don't think it covers the entire campus, but
Oh
it
dear.
covers most of the campus. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. Like you can hear, obviously, Fanshawe has its own radio dial and its own radio
Okay.
station that you can hear, which is 106.9 BX, but you can also hear CFRL, which is, they call it Fanshawe's hot spot. And
Okay.
you can
Cool.
hear that in the hallway. Yeah, so that is what I heard because I used to go up to the media, it's in the media building, but it was also M for math. That's how I always remembered it was math for pre-health.
Ah,
So I
gotcha.
went up, always went upstairs to the second floor and walked past it. And I thought, oh, yeah, I'm actually friends with the person that I saw in
Oh,
the
that's
booth,
funny.
which is pretty funny. Yeah.
That's really funny. So like
Yeah.
it was so you were producing a show and then this job opportunity came up and you were like, you know what? I don't want to do the show work anymore. I want to be on the road. And that was just kind of a right switch for you right there.
Uh, yeah, I think someone might have said to me in the hallways, just because I have such a bubbly personality that I would do great at a job like that. I'm pretty sure that I should consider summer cruiser. And I happened to see the position opening and I went for it. I thought,
Nice.
okay, that sounds cool. I'll drive around a vehicle summer. So I went for it.
Yeah, why
And
not?
it was literally like seriously the most fun I think I had all summer.
That's
Like you just
awesome.
drive a fancy car around, go and meet people and go to events. Like it was great. And everyone loves you because they're like, oh cool, it's the
Well, you just hand
cruiser.
out free shit, right? People love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So now
I
I
love
just got a
that.
little more responsibility, but I still do the fun stuff. So
Nice.
yeah.
Now you say you're the quote unquote sizzle of the company. Now, how does a contest go? So let's say from an idea to actually executing a contest.
That's a good question, actually. So of course
Thank you.
it starts with
I do like to pride myself on question asking.
yeah, I like it. I like to say sizzle just because, you know, in promotions, I like, well, mainly you're the glue of the company.
Hmm.
So everything kind of ties into promotions. So that includes marketing and on air and
Hmm.
production and basically everything, really. So every department will kind of lead its way into promotions. It's funny, I just got an email. Um, but yeah, so basically how it goes from idea to contest, you obviously are going to start with that idea, but it kind of worked out more or less on paper. At least I find it works out better on paper. And then from there, you would build an outline, which kind of contains that idea. And then you kind of work on how it's going to be displayed and promoted. So depending on the contest or let's say the event, which is really cool, you actually get to see it come to life through
Nice. Cool.
production or
Yeah.
on site. So that's kind of how it works, unless you're really developing something crazy. There might be a
Hmm.
couple of avenues, but it's pretty much all done through an outline, which we
Okay.
do ourselves.
Now, do you have a
Yeah,
favorite event or promotion that you personally put together or help oversee?
another good question.
Hmm.
I really like, I've really always liked being at Rock the Park. It's mainly
Yes.
just because, I mean, it is a promotion. It's a little less of a contest. I mean, it technically is a contest with
Yes.
if we're giving people chances to win tickets to see it, but it's more of a promotion. It's more of an on-site thing. Rock the
Hmm.
Park, I would say, and Country Music Week. Those were probably
Yes.
the coolest things I've ever been a part of because it's not just a one-day thing. It takes a lot out of you. It's a big promotion. It's
Oh,
a
I
big
bet.
event to be at. to set up things, to be there super early. I think there was one year where she used to be my past coworker. Now she's a manager, but her and I think we're there at like 8 or 9 in the morning. And I honestly don't think we got out of the park until like 1 or 2.
Oh my God.
And that was just one day. Like there were a couple
Jeez.
days back to back we did. Or like if it's a double day of rock nights, we have to tear down and set back up all over again.
Oh my God.
We have a team with us, but it's like, yeah, it's crazy, but
Yeah,
it's
I bet.
so much fun. So
It sounds like you have a lot of
like
fun
a
at
give and
these.
take.
So like instead
Yeah.
of a promotion, so it's like you go to, like, for example, Rock the Park. You go to an event like that. Now, what are you doing there?
A lot of things. Just trying to narrow it down. So basically, kind of to almost talk you through start to finish. So
Sure.
we would get there with like all of our vehicles. We like to bring our big rig on site. It's basically like a massive truck that's just signage for us.
Okay.
But our engineers, our amazing engineers, actually engineered it to have a tie line unit, which is basically how we broadcast from outside of our radio station, which is amazing. Yeah.
Cool.
So it actually contains one in it. So you can actually be live inside it or pre-record interviews. So that's actually how we hide some of the performers if we want to bring them on to do an interview before they're going to go on or at some point in the weekend.
Cool.
Yeah, we hide them in the truck. Mainly just because there's so many people, right?
We're going to kidnap you and put you in this truck, this personalized truck. We're just going to put you in.
Yeah, just hide you in here.
Just stay here. I'm sorry, it's not larger than a closet. Just stay here. Oh, that's good. I'm glad they love it. It is bigger than a closet, though, right?
Yeah, not about the same size. It's not very big. No, yeah, a little bit bigger than a closet. Yeah.
Oh, good. And then they can at least sit down. That's fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, the best actually and the funniest is country. Believe it or not, country fans are. I don't know if it's because after they've had a few drinks, they get a little rowdy. But
it's all that
trying to sneak
beer.
in like Tim Hicks or something has been really funny. Because they'll like kind of see them coming in now, or they'll know when their next interview is going to be, and they kind of sneak them onto like each trailer, each rig. It's really funny, and they go buy golf carts. They can get away faster. It's
that's hilarious.
It's just like little things that you like know. Most people just don't know about media that you get, the inside knowledge.
That's the stuff that we
hilarious.
Love the little shit. It's great. So, anyways, we're gonna take a quick break right now. Just to have a word from our sponsors. Don't go away. We will be right back. Are the big corporations taking your sales with fancy images that just aren't in your small business budget? Not to worry. At Cardinal Images, we take everything to heart. We are a small business supporting small businesses, so we understand. Check out www.cardinalimages.ca for our galleries and contact info. Also, if you are a listener to this podcast, you will receive not only your demo images, but your first shoot absolutely free. Just email Eric at cardinalimages.ca with the subject line podcast promo to receive your free shoot today. Cardinal Images, affordable pricing, quality images, and personable photography. And welcome back to Weird Careers. We were just talking to Tania DaSilva, who is a promotions and digital coordinator for Chorus Entertainment. If you're just joining us now, well, start this thing over again and do it properly. So, I mean, you're listening to this on a podcast. This is not on the radio. I would be very surprised if somebody was like, I'm going to listen to this, but I'm going to go halfway through.
I've skipped through podcasts before. I'm that person. I'm that person.
So that's why. Okay, so you're the person why I have to keep doing that too. Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah. So Tania, what kind of schooling did you have to go to for radio? Walk us through your. You already did your pre-health. Now walk us through what you did at Fanshaw's radio program.
Sure. Yeah. So basically you get your diploma. It's a 2-year course. The fun part actually about the 2-year course is in between first and second year, if you'd like, and if you apply for it, you can actually work for the radio station. Which,
Ooh.
yeah, so you can work for you're employed through Fanshawe, but
Okay.
you get a chance to really learn the rhythm and the ins and outs of the radio station.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably why I literally just enjoyed being a radio for as long as I did. Because if I'd taken like maybe a different summer job, I don't know
Mhm.
if I would have really enjoyed my second year. But second year at first was a
Mhm.
breeze because I knew the station so well and all the
Well,
different
that's good.
departments. But then it got really stressful because obviously you're mixing like your major and your essentially like what a major and a minor would be. So like
Okay.
the two courses that you would really like to take with
Mhm.
all your other classes. So I think at one point I was like ready to pull my hair out because I was like, oh God, it's so stressful. Or maybe that's where the stress hairs came from. But
Maybe, and they
uh,
just keep coming back.
yeah. No, it's okay. They're honestly amazing professors. I loved my time there. And
That's
amazing
awesome.
people that one I honestly am still like very close with. She used to be in radio. Now she runs her own digital media business with her husband, but she's someone that I went to school with that I'm still like very close with. So it's
Nice.
great. It's a great experience. But yeah, so I went to school for the 2 years outside of my pre-health at Fanshawe, and yeah, so not that much schooling. I think there is another course as well. I don't think it's offered anymore, but I had a couple friends go to the MTP program. So it was like a collaborative program with Western, but I don't think they
MTP?
offer it anymore. Yeah, I think it was called MTP, I believe. I'm not sure what that stands for.
Say, I know there's an MTP in London that's musical theater productions.
That might, yeah,
That's a
something like
stage. That's
that.
a stage thing.
I don't know. It was something like, maybe I'm getting the acronym wrong, but it was something
It
like that. And
happens. It's okay.
they did a collaborative
Cool.
program with Fanshawe and Western. So they did like 1 year Western, 1 year Fanshawe,
Oh, okay. That's
Western
neat.
Fanshawe, and then eventually a few of them graduated with us. But the
Nice.
4 years, I did the 2 years, but I also didn't know that you could
Yeah.
do that.
Now,
Barely
if
didn't do
you
my
had the
research well enough.
option, would you do the 4 years?
Um,
If you knew about it?
I don't know. I feel like that's a good question.
Thank you.
As much as I'd have to probably look into seeing, really what the balance would be like.
Mhm.
Because I mean, 2 years versus another extra 2 years, I would probably have
Exactly.
preferred just to, knowing what I know now, I would have definitely only done the 2 years because with radio, as long as you make connections, you can really get in anywhere. It's hard,
Nice.
but you can get in anywhere.
That's good.
So I don't think the extra 2 years, unless it's more of a schooling thing, really mattered.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Right on.
I probably wouldn't have done it. Then if I'd known about it, I bet you probably would have.
Oh,
Because I'm a
God.
little bit of a keener. So
That's
I would have been like, yeah,
okay.
I'll do the extra 2 years. But now I'm like, no, I'm glad I
No, fuck
didn't.
that noise. So let's talk about the big C, the COVID-19 pandemic that has essentially, no, not the other big C, the COVID-19 pandemic that changed the world. Everything has changed from how we live our daily lives to how we communicate. I mean, pre-COVID, we wouldn't be sitting here on Zoom. You'd be here in the studio. That's just the reality of it. And how obviously your job would have been affected by the pandemic. How did it, and like how'd you get through it? Did it have an impact on how you conduct business like in the future? That's a lot of questions I just threw at you. One at a time. One at a time. How was your job affected by the pandemic, and how did you get through it?
Okay. Well, I will say it's been challenging,
Oh, for sure.
obviously, because as I kind of mentioned earlier, the fun part of being in promotions is half of it is just the events and meeting people and making those connections. So
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
stripping that away
Mhm.
and just doing it over the computer has
Oh
been
yeah.
great because I feel like now I know everybody's dogs and everyone's pets. But but other than that, it's I don't know. It strips away from this part of promotions. It's like the heart of it a little bit.
Absolutely.
So it's been challenging, but we've managed to make it work. It's
That's good.
starting to get better. We've been out to lots of concerts and fun things. So as long as those go
Nice.
as planned, we should be okay. But I would say like the winter just passed was probably the hardest, just because
Oh my God. Yeah, I
we're not as
bet.
busy in the winter, so it can be a little slow. But then I also happen to deal with a lot of change, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
change in the company,
Mm-hmm.
from like management shifting around and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been a lot between like the winter to the spring, and now I'm finally feeling, especially with everything that's happening, I'm feeling a lot better into the summer months and
That's
moving
good.
forward. But so yes, challenging but good, and I kind of just got through it more. I was going to
Mm-hmm.
say more or less with friends and family,
Mm-hmm.
just trying not to make work my entire focus,
Well, you
which
just burn
sounds
out.
awful, but yeah,
You would have
otherwise
you
exactly.
would have just completely burnt out.
Because I mean, I'm trying to like explain it visually as we normally try and do.
Yes.
So I mean, as best as you
In
can,
the
but
audio
I
industry, that's
mean,
exactly what we do.
so I mean, I come into work on a normal day, pre-COVID,
Mm-hmm.
with dogs potentially running up and down the hallways because we're doing an interview with something, or maybe there's a band
Mm-hmm.
playing that we set up in our grand great hall, or I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe someone's like, the morning show is doing something crazy stunts that, or they're drinking and driving show or something crazy. Like you come in and every day is different, and something
Nice.
is going on and a different promotion is leading. So it's still great. It's just, it turned into more of a stay at home 9 to 5 type thing. And a lot of it's just online.
So
But the
how do you do
nice
that
part about
online?
that, and I will get into that. So the nice part
Oh,
about it is that it made me more aware, which is why my now job is part digital. So
mm,
now a lot of my job, or probably not as much as I like to make it, but um, it's more digital. So that's video editing, doing a lot more on social media.
okay.
So yeah, so that's actually something I've been working towards and doing really well and excelling at. So
Good for you.
that's, yeah, which is great. So it's just another thing to add to my resume and something I'm interested in getting into. So it wasn't, honestly, if it wasn't for COVID, I probably wouldn't have that experience and that extra sizzle to my resume.
That's
So yeah,
awesome. So
yeah,
it's nice
it's
that
good.
you kind of took like a positive spin out of this. You've got some new
I always
skills out
do.
of it. That's
Yeah,
good. That's a
yeah,
good thing. That's
that's
a
me.
good. So that kind of leads right into my next question. So, what is your favorite part of the job?
um, well, obviously making connections has always been my favorite part of the job.
Of
You
course.
know, it's kind of crazy these days. I mean, obviously not as much during COVID, but
Of
there were
course, yes.
times I swear I couldn't go anywhere without seeing someone I knew, which is kind of nuts. Like even the day I ran into you at Best Buy, like
Oh, that's
I,
right. Yes.
like I just can't go anywhere without seeing somebody I know.
That's
So I think
hilarious.
that also is pretty fun, which
Yeah,
makes me in some ways want to stay in London, just because it's crazy how many connections I've gathered over the years. But I mean,
that's
if you think about
awesome.
it, even one summer as a summer cruiser, I think I went to well over 100 events in a
Wow.
summer. Yeah, in a couple months.
That's
Well over
crazy.
100. I
Jeez.
don't remember how many it was, but it was a lot.
What do the
So I
kids say
mean,
now?
think of all those connections
Sheesh.
you make, right? Sheesh. Yeah. You're dabbing on the side of the screen, aren't you? Yeah, I can't see you, but I bet you are. I'm just kidding.
I am now. So if on the
Yeah.
on this the opposite side of that,
Yeah.
because there's always two sides to every coin. Now, if you could change one thing about your industry, the industry you work in, what would it be and why?
You know, I will say there's not a lot of a change because radio is so unique. and so fun in so many different ways. But I think the
Okay.
hardest part for them, that I wouldn't say, I can't even give them direction on how they're going to change that, but with all these streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, like I have no idea how, once the boomer generation, is not, I don't want to say gone because that sounds morbid, but
A little
once they're
bit,
not
but that's okay.
around, I know for a fact they take up a lot of radio
Yes.
listening and consume, and we
Mm.
call it like cume, but they, I don't know, like the younger generation seem to just love, TikTok and Spotify and all these things, and listen to
Hmm.
their own music, and probably also not buying, because unless we're really tailoring
That's
the
true. Yes.
commercials to young, well, eventually they're going to get a little older, they're not going to
Hmm.
be young, but
Hmm.
still, I mean, I don't, I see a little bit of it, because I mean, I'm the one who goes to the back end and sees, the people that are entering and the ages and the age group and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, our age should be okay, like that once we get a little older, but
Yeah.
past that, I don't know. And like as technology starts to just grow more and more intense and expand, I have no idea what the world of radio will be like. So I have my fingers crossed that it'll always be needed. Because think about it, if it's like apocalyptic days, how many
Absolutely.
movies did you watch where they had to listen to the radio,
They
right?
always have to listen to the radio. I
It's
think, and it's
I'm
look at when
hopeful, but
television
I
came
don't know.
along. Television came along. They
Yeah,
said television's going to kill radio. It didn't. Just
no, it
satellite
didn't.
radio came in. Oh, it's going to kill. It's going to kill AM and FM. It didn't.
No, it
All these
didn't.
streaming services came in. Oh, it's going to kill radio. It hasn't. Instead, what I've noticed, especially shows like Taz and Jim here in London, they actually have a
Mhm.
podcast. They've taken bits of their
They do.
show and they add a podcast, and I think that's
Mhm.
brilliant. They've taken essentially I think what is it, the 4 hour show that they have,
Yeah.
and condensed it into a 45. It's not even like a 20-minute to 45-minute podcast.
And it's probably the stuff you want to listen to anyways, because
It's
it's like
exactly
their
the stuff you
best
want to
of
listen to.
bits. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. Like
Yeah.
that's where I think that's where radio is going to start to go. They're going to start with these, instead of
Let's hope
having
so.
big studios and all this kind of stuff. You know, look what I'm doing, for example. I'm sitting here with a laptop and a microphone, and I don't have a MIDI board or a MIDI box or a sound board or anything.
Mhm.
And I'm on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud. Here I
Yeah,
am.
that's very true. We do
So
also have iRigs, which is really convenient. So like if
what are
Jim,
those?
um, basically they're, I don't know the engineering way to say this really, but like it's like a little unit that plugs into a microphone, and
Hmm.
then the one end will plug into like the battery port of your phone. So
Oh,
obviously you need headphones to like listen to like what's
hmm,
happening, but it actually allows you to be on the air. It's
that's
you
cool.
can, there's an app that we have. Yeah. So like let's say Jim is down at Rock the Park and wants to interview a bunch of drunk people after the show and get their reviews.
Hmm.
The sound quality is a lot better if it's coming through a mic, but if it's
Oh,
also being
damn.
recorded through that device, you can record, you can also go live.
That's so
So
cool.
yeah, so there's lots of ways. I mean, I was overseas with our fresh mornings, and our tie line unit went down, but our mobile unit, because it ran off LTE and
Hmm.
we had a package for it, we
Hmm.
were able to get them on the air.
That's so
So
cool.
yeah, via their cell phone. So there's ways to do it. I just hope that at least they're starting to think more digitally and think
Yeah,
more creative ways to get the word out there. I
for
mean, now we
sure.
have TikTok, so I can officially say that now our course brands have TikTok. That's cool.
That
So
Yeah, I'm starting to. I literally just got on. I downloaded the app. I think, was it last week or the week before? I've done nothing with it. I just keep getting these notifications. Oh, you should check out this, and I don't even know how to use it. That just kind of
yeah,
shows.
TikTok is fun.
I
I
don't
try
get
and
it.
I'm like one of those cultural beings that just, even if some craze is out there, I
Yeah.
just want to download it to know. Even if it's
Oh,
not something
okay.
I'm going to consume all of my time in, I just want to download it,
Yeah.
like or just various different apps on like productivity and like how to make my life easier. So I knew that TikTok was actually going to be a thing. And I told our bosses way back when I said we should get on this app, but they couldn't actually make that call. Like it had to come from head office.
Yes,
but
of course.
eventually we got on it, and now we're on it, which is great. And I think, again, just being a part of these trending things will help radio, I think.
Exactly.
So digital is going to be a very big part of promotions for a very long time.
Your
and
job
also
is
part
secure.
of the on air. Yeah, it's part of the on air. They have a lot more to their job than just talking on the radio now. Like they do a lot socially.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any advice for anyone looking to get into the radio industry?
Well,
as long as it's don't do it, you're good.
You know, honestly, I was told that the industry was hard, and I never believed it because, you know, I thought, well, there's so many avenues you can go into. But I think the main advice that I would try and give to anybody would just be, you know, just try new things. You know, if you're in school, or you're in school right now, or you're going to go to radio broadcasting school, or even thinking about it, you know, don't just get your eyes set on just being an announcer, because it turns out you might not want to do that. Like I did, you know. Exactly. My heart was fully set on being an announcer, but I ended up finding into a job that I loved because I decided to step out of that comfort zone and try something new. So, you know that it's possible, and to at least make those connections will be the most important thing. So whether that's, you know, being a part of Eric's podcast, or going out, I had to give you a plug, going out and interning somewhere, or checking out a local radio station, or, you know, going on to radio station websites and looking at the contact us page and contacting whoever you need to. I love that. I think that's awesome when I get stuff from, you know, college or university students that are interested. I think it's great.
Nice.
And, you know, we do what we can, and we like Chorus hires Fanshawe grads for sure, because
that's good.
I mean, any grad, but Fanshawe is a little easier because they know how to work our equipment and stuff.
Exactly.
And they have the right mindset, and yeah. So, you know, just you'll make it. Just keep trying, and make sure you try different avenues.
Right on.
Not just one thing. Unless you're very set, then go ahead. But
and you'll find out in your own way.
Exactly.
Now, one last question before we let you go today, Tania. And we asked this of all of our guests, just to kind of tie things together and see how things have changed over the years. So when you were little, when you were a little Tania, you know, 9 years old, what did you want to be then when you wanted to grow up? When you grew up, what did you want to be?
Okay, I have to give you two answers to this, because this is actually a funny question.
Alrighty.
So I would say maybe just a couple years younger than that, but still kind of in that time frame. I definitely wanted to be an entertainer. So essentially what I'm doing now, but a little different. I wanted to be like a singer, and performer or actor of some sort. I would literally bring my family down, and if they hear this, they'll laugh their ass off. But I brought my family down to the basement, and I would actually show them and like sing and dance a choreographed routine to something.
That's like, so adorable. I love
sticks involved. There was like, yeah. So I definitely really like to entertain. So it makes sense where I am now.
That's awesome.
But it's so funny. I would say maybe a couple of years later, completely switched and wanted to be a nurse.
Oh, wow.
Hence pre-health. Yeah.
Ah, yes.
So I wanted to be a nurse.
Yeah. Wow. And funny.
Could you imagine like my life now? Like,
oh, jeez. So funny. It would be a lot more stressful.
Yeah.
Like a lot more stressful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Tania. It was great having you.
It was amazing to be on here. I really appreciate your time. Thanks, sir.
No problem. That was Tania DaSilva, who is a promotions and digital coordinator for Chorus Entertainment. thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave a comment, and if you really liked us, a 5-star review would be greatly appreciated. It really helps us out on Apple Podcasts and other streaming services for our listenership. Join me next week when we have Foxy Roxy, who has gone from staffing at a hospital to fulfilling her childhood dream. What was that dream? Tune in next week here on Weird Careers. Thanks again for joining us, and don't forget to share this podcast with your friends too. Until next time, I'm E.T. Cheers.